The Week 6 matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars offers the Chicago Bears a chance to really get all of their receivers involved in the game. We'll talk about why today. Plus, we're going to look at who's starting in replace of Jaquan Brisker, as the Bears have officially announced that, and a few teams that could be interested if the Bears do decide to make Khalil Herbert available. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And I want to start off with one of the ways that the Chicago Bears offense and one of the ways that the defense can really get in rhythm and help the team win this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I want to start off with talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary. The Jaguars may have the worst secondary in the game of football when you look at it. Right now, on average, the Jaguars are allowing 287.8 yards passing per game, which is 32nd in the NFL. They've also allowed 9 passing touchdowns in the NFL so far, which is 32nd, dead last again. They have 0 interceptions, again, dead last in the NFL, and they've allowed a completion percentage of 73.3, which is 31st, almost dead last in the NFL. They're also allowing 8.2 yards per passing attempt, which is 31st in the NFL, and they have they're allowing a 52.6% third down conversion rate, which is 30th in the NFL. What does all that mean? It means that the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, this is a huge opportunity to get them in rhythm even further than what they did last year. We could see Caleb Williams have another 300-yard passing game. Now, I'm not saying that should be the goal or it's a failure if they can't get to that 300 yards. I mean, it should probably be the goal every game, but if you can't get to it, it doesn't mean that it's a failure. But overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary is by far the worst in the NFL when you look at the statistics of every major thing you grade passing defense by. This is a great opportunity for Caleb Williams, DJ Moore to continue the chemistry that they've been building. But on top of that, get Rome Odunze, get Keenan Allen, getting Cole Kmet, getting all these guys, DeAndre Swift, completely involved in the passing game. In no way am I saying that the Bears should be a one-dimensional team. That's not what I want at all. On the flip side of that, I do think, and I'm going to talk about how they need to use Roschon Johnson especially better in this game. But overall, this is a huge opportunity for the Chicago Bears to take their passing offense and to really get it in rhythm and go. And when you look at it as well, Caleb Williams in the last 10 quarters of football, which is 2.5 games, when you look at it, he's completed 70% of his passes, and he's done 7.9 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and has a passer rating of 109.8. Again, Caleb Williams is starting to get into that stride for the Chicago Bears, and coming up against a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, which one of their biggest deficiencies on that team is their passing defense. This is where we need to see the Chicago Bears offense and our passing offense specifically really get in rhythm. And I would love to see Caleb Williams continue to build off the confidence that he's been building with having a big game against this Jacksonville Jaguars team. We've talked about it. The Bears have the second toughest schedule in the league for the remaining part of the season. And so you want to take advantage of these easier matchups. I'll say no matchup is necessarily easy. Any given Sunday, you can lose in the NFL if you're not prepared. But there's so much that's shaping up for this Bears team that the Jacksonville Jaguars' weaknesses play into the Chicago Bears. Well, things where the Chicago Bears can be strong at, right? Our passing offense has not been great this season, but much like we've gotten the running game in rhythm and overall the offense in rhythm the last few games, you would love to see that. Now, of course, Caleb Williams is going to need time, right? It comes down to that as well. He's going to need time, and that means that our offensive line is going to have to step up big time as well. And the offensive line has been progressing and going in the right direction, right? The getting Ryan Bates back after the bye week should be big for the Chicago Bears. Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright are starting to look much better for the team as well. But this is an important game that I would say I really want to see this Bears passing offense really get going against this Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And if they can, man, again, you ride that momentum, you ride that confidence into a bye week where you can, yes, you're going to have to travel back from London, but then you can really use that week off to really kind of focus and refine some things from a schematic standpoint. This could be a really good building block in that confidence that Caleb Williams has been building as we continue to go forth in making this offense a more formidable offense overall as we get ready to end the season. Well, we go on the back half of the season. We're not anywhere close to the end of the season, right? And so even after the bye week, we still have a couple of more weeks after that before we start playing our divisional opponents. That's where you really want this offense to be as crisp as possible, right? And so especially with the trade deadline coming amongst that time as well, that team after about week 8, week 9, right? We're going to have our team. Our team is our team at that point. And, you can only hope, even though I think that the most of the growth is going to come internally anyway, that's really kind of what you're looking at. So, again, looking at those stats for the Jacksonville Jaguars and their passing defense, it could shape up for a big day on top of Caleb Williams already really hitting his stride in the last 2.5 games and Shane Waldron calling the game much better. Now, with that said, something else that the Bears can do on the offensive side of the ball to make the game easier on them, they need to rely more on Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson has 13 rushing attempts when the Bears have the ball with 4 or fewer yards to convert a first down or touchdown. Over those 13 attempts, Johnson has converted 9 of those times. When it comes down to it, 6 first downs and 3 touchdowns. This is something, again, in no way am I saying if you use it more, that same percentage is going to be there, but you want to play towards your strengths, and we're starting to see those strengths. So really, Roschon Johnson, when you have those short down opportunities, is showing you that he can get it done. And I think he's even ready for more than that. I would like to see us use Roschon more in the passing game as far as a receiver as well. We can kind of just use him as a blocker in that case. And like I've talked about for the past couple of episodes as well, having him and Doug Kramer out there together a lot has really helped for this team as well. In the past 3 weeks, Roschon Johnson has 25 rushing attempts and 3 touchdowns. That's a really good percentage as well. And so Roschon is really starting to ramp up as well. And I think you found something with that chemistry building with him and Caleb and him and Doug Kramer as well. And that could start being some of your weapons as well. I understand why Johnson was used sporadically leading into it, but we got to, especially on short yardage conversion situations, Roschon is really showing himself to be a really big weapon for the Bears. And you just want to see that continue. You want to reward that when it comes down to it. And so, let's hope that can happen as well with this team. And if it does, I think that's going to go into a big route of helping this offense get to where it needs to be. And Roschon, probably your best pass blocking running back. And then when you have him and Doug Kramer back there as together, that's a big bruising running back combination to help open up that hole for Roschon to get into. That's a bit of a pause, but you guys know we're having a football conversation here. No Diddy, no Bobby. So that's the part of it where you really want to look at as well. But then on the defense, I said I wanted to point out one thing on the defense. Now, this could play into the Jacksonville Jaguars' strengths. This also could, and I'll explain this going forth as well. The Bears right now are allowing 17 points per game. That's 5th in the NFL. We're doing really good in that standpoint. Again, we haven't necessarily faced the best teams, but it's something that's doing good right now. We have 11 takeaways, which is 3rd in the NFL. We're allowing only 174 passing yards per game as well, which is 6th in the NFL, and we have 14 sacks in total, which is 11th in the NFL. We've only allowed 2 pass touchdowns in the season so far. Again, and we're allowing an average passer rating of 68.2. When you look at this Jacksonville Jaguars team, Trevor Lawrence is not really having a great season so far. 93 completions on 156 attempts. He's completing 59.6% of his passes for 1,100 yards exactly. And he has 6 touchdowns on the season, but he's been sacked 12 times, right? So again, talking about how some of the strengths of the Bears can take advantage of some of the weaknesses of this Jacksonville Jaguars team. If you can make this Jaguars team one-dimensional, that goes a long way. And that's what this Bears team has really done over the first 5 weeks of the season. They've really tried to make teams one-dimensional. But got to be honest with you, right? One thing that we need to talk about as well is that while if the Bears can limit the passing success by the Jacksonville Jaguars, listen, they got Tank Bigsby there. And I tell you what right now, Tank, especially with how the Bears defense has allowed for rushing yards, he can carve us up. So I don't want to act like it's this thing where if we make them one-dimensional, that automatically means that we're going to have success in that. It just means that we can kind of make them a more predictable defense to guard. But listen, when you look at it, the Bears have had their own issues with run defense. And that's something that you have to look at as well, and we're going to have to get creative in that. I think you want to make any team one-dimensional. Now, if you can take the run game completely away from them, and then that plays into the strengths of your secondary where they got to pass a little bit more, cool. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that's going to try to get in it. And look, Tank Bigsby only in his second year, he's coming off an impressive game against the Indianapolis Colts where he had 13 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's going to be the starter, and the Bears defense is going to have to be ready to deal with him. And if they're not, listen, I'll tell you what right now, we have any problem with this defense. So far, it's been the run defense. We're allowing 120.8 rushing yards per game through 5 games. And so we got to get that together. We've allowed 100-plus yards rushing in 4 out of the 5 games that we've played. So the Bears have to be prepared to guard and have a better run defense. Yes, if you can make the Jacksonville Jaguars a one-dimensional team, that's half the battle. But you still got to win that second half of the battle to keep them from getting in this game. And hopefully the Chicago Bears are going to be able to do that. But let me know what you guys think on that. You know, I threw a lot of football nerd numbers at you, so let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, we do also know who's going to be starting in place of Jaquan Brisker. Matt Eberflus told reporters that Elijah Hicks is going to be starting in place of Jaquan Brisker. And Elijah Hicks has been basically on special teams mainly for the Chicago Bears. 55% of the special team snaps he's been out there for in 2022, 53 in 2023, and so far 84% of the special team snaps in 2024 he's been out there for. But this isn't the last time the first time that Elijah Hicks has had to step into a starting role. Elijah Hicks played 37 games since coming to the Bears in 2022, and he's had 8 starts in that time, and that's all came down last season where he played pretty damn good. So Elijah Hicks understands the scheme, he understands the role, he understands the playbook, and so with that said, I can understand it. The question is how much of that percentage is going to be between him and Jonathan Owens, who I initially thought may start there as Jonathan Owens, but they have some confidence. Elijah Hicks has been here. He started for them. I'm sure there's a form of a safety in that as well. Safety for safety. It is what it is there. So that plays a part into it. But, you know, Elijah Hicks starting here, he's been successful before. He hasn't started with Kevin Byard, though. So, you know, we'll be interested to see how they use him, right? Are they going to try to use Elijah Hicks in a similar fashion to how they have Jaquan Brisker, where Jaquan Brisker has been 40% in the box and really him and Kevin Byard have split that? Or are we going to see Elijah Hicks be more in the box, whereas then Kevin Byard just kind of stays more outside the box, and then we see a mixture between him and Jonathan Owens out there in different scenarios, right? So still a lot to be left on how that rotation is going to shake out, but at least we do know Elijah Hicks is going to be starting. And like I said before, there's a level of confidence there because he has started for the Bears in the past. The question is, now with this new team, with the pass rush that we're getting, those type of things, how successful is Elijah Hicks going to be? And yeah, I don't think that it's a bad thing to have Elijah Hicks out there. We just got to see how he's going to perform, and he's earned some faith there. And you know, Matt Eberflus is confident. I've said before, I have some issues with Elijah Hicks in the past, right? But not with Elijah Hicks, with Matt Eberflus as a head coach. But one thing I can't take away from him is the defense. And so if him and Eric Washington as the defensive coordinators feel confident in the Chicago Bears and their ability, and Elijah Hicks' ability to stand in there and be ready, you know, it comes down when it comes down to, and we'll see. Now, with that said, we also got word that from Brad Biggs that there could be some changes coming to the Chicago Bears offensive line, and this is something that we shouldn't be too surprised, right? Right now, when Ryan Bates comes back from injury reserve, that he could be moving into that starting line. This comes directly from Brad Biggs saying this. There are other moving parts that will affect what the team does. That starts with left guard Tevin Jenkins, who left the win over the Panthers with an ankle injury and was dealing with a bruised rib entering the game. Bill Murray, who leapfrogged Davis as the first option off the bench, played pretty well in Jenkins' place. Do the coaches have enough faith in Murray to keep him in the lineup when everyone is healthy? If so, perhaps Murray supplants Matt Pryor, who has been the starting right guard. And then the team can make a call at center between Bates and Shelton. If Murray gets more opportunities this week against the Jaguars, I wouldn't rule it out. Perhaps he is in the conversation if the coaches become more comfortable with his performance. It would be a wonderful problem to have if the Bears get healthy and feel like they have multiple options. Imagine that. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that I've been saying for a while now in regards to the Chicago Bears offensive line is that most of the improvement is going to have to come internally. I don't, if Ryan Poles makes a deal, he makes a deal. But even if he does, it's not like it's going to be several deals to change a lot of these starters. So it is going to come down to who steps up, who's improving over this, but then also getting guys healthy like Ryan Bates, finding guys like Bill Murray who may be able to perform for you. So listen, Matt Pryor has performed great, and I do hope that he holds that right guard position because I think he's shown that he's ready for it. And I think Ryan Bates would be better suited at center. At that point, even if Bill Murray has earned that spot where you feel comfortable playing him more snaps, that brings that depth that we've been saying that we wanted to have with this offensive line. Having him, Coleman Shelton moving back to a more natural position, still playing some center, of course, right? But then I think it's key in this as well, getting Tevin Jenkins for him to stay healthy, but also getting him back to playing at the level that he played before. You pair that as well with Darnell Wright getting back better, then you're talking about Darnell Wright, Tevin Jenkins, Matt Pryor, Ryan Bates, Bill Murray, right? All these guys playing at a really good level for you. And if that ends up being the case, cool, right? Like, yes, Nate Davis is phased out of the offense at this point. That's on him. He's deserved that demotion. He sucked. And next year that the Bears can save about $9.5 million cutting his ass. And by the performance and the way that he is in the starting lineup, I think that that's safe to say that that's probably going to be the case. The Bears are going to add that cap back to their salary. So that could make them a little bit more flexible as well, and maybe going out there and being aggressive, which we've heard over the last couple of days, players that the Bears have on their board as far as targets on that guard position out there, right? So it's something to watch and monitor. So I love that we're hearing some internal improvement, but if you can add guys like Michael Jordan, Kevin Dotson, Wyatt, right, as well, like Wyatt Teller, if you can add some of these guys while you also have guys on your roster improving, of course, that puts the Bears' offensive line in a much better position than what it's been in the last, to start off the season. And things are already improving on that offensive line. But if you can solidify that more, that can help the Bears, especially. You want to get that thing solidified by the time we start these divisional games in Week 11. And let's hope that that pays off for the Bears as well. Now, I said that at the top of the show, I wanted to talk about some teams that could be interested in trading for Khalil Herbert, if that. Now, in hearing that Ryan Poles is leaving his mind open, he's watching and monitoring teams, I do think that, and we've talked about this, me, Bobby, and C-Dub had a pretty good debate on this, and I understand all aspects of it. If the Bears hold on to Khalil Herbert, use him, right? And even if having that safety net, because again, this is a team that is aiming and has told us all season long they're trying to get to the playoffs. So you end up holding on to a guy because you think he's going to give that opportunity and you need that safety net in case somebody gets hurt. Cool. Now, if you want to play the other side of that and you want to take advantage of moving somebody who more than likely is not re-signing with this team, and you do that as well, I don't think that's bad either. So I have 4 teams here that could be interested in trading for Khalil Herbert. First up is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, we know that the Niners have traded for running backs in the past, and then you look at Christian McCaffrey, who's not played this year at all. Khalil Herbert will come in and add something that they need to this team, right? And so with Elijah Mitchell also being out for the year, Khalil Herbert is somebody that has shown that he can be productive. And so with the Niners having goals of, they were in the Super Bowl last year. They're trying to get back there. This is a team that wants to win football games and has not been afraid to add talent. Khalil Herbert's contract is not that much either. So it is also in a position where you may, you be able to absorb that pretty easily. Now, the Niners are 2-3 on the season so far, but they're in a division in the NFC West where the Seahawks are leading that division, but they only have one more win than them at 3 wins. So the Niners aren't, by any stretch of the imagination, out of anything. So they could be a team that could be interested in bringing in a product in which you know what you can get out of Khalil Herbert, and you can watch that. The next team that I want to look at is the Houston Texans as well. Now, the Houston Texans, adding Joe Mixon has been a great thing for them, but he's been dealing with some injury. And we know that Khalil Herbert has been really good as a second running back in that dual running back system. And so with the Texans offensive coordinator coming over from the 49ers, we kind of fit before is that we know that Khalil Herbert can fit that type of offense. So when you look at that, I think that the Texans could also be a situation into where, he could be somebody that the Houston Texans are interested in. They also have Bill Lazor there, who was the offensive coordinator here when Khalil Herbert was drafted. So again, some signs there that it could lead to the Houston Texans being a team that could be interested in Khalil Herbert. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this is a team that would be kind of interesting here. Luke Getsy has been here, and some could say that while, I have no love for Luke Getsy as an offensive coordinator, 2 of Khalil Herbert's best years in the NFL came under Luke Getsy. And so because of that, it could be some interest there in adding in, because Luke Getsy knows how to use Khalil Herbert, still doesn't know how to call a fucking offense, but it comes down to that. Now, Zamir White is a player there that's already with that Las Vegas Raiders team. And so I think that Khalil Herbert could end up winning that starting position if it comes down to he's a better player. And so if Khalil Herbert is more so wanting to go to a team that he has a chance to re-sign with and win a starting position, the Las Vegas Raiders could offer that for Khalil Herbert. Now, what they give back, that's a question for another day. And then lastly, and this is the team that I would not want to see him go to, because I already know that Bears fans would automatically go into a tailspin when you see him competing for a Super Bowl. But that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs need an upgrade at the running back position. And with Isaiah out on that team, and that Kareem Hunt leading that group right now rushing, Khalil Herbert can come in and really offer them. He's younger, he's faster, he has a lot of similar traits to Hunt to be able to fit in as well, and he's never played with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes and what that offense is able to do. So I would say this, be on the lookout for something. Yeah, I think that there's a chance there that if the Kansas City Chiefs do want to make a move for a running back, man, Khalil Herbert could fit in a lot for that Kansas City Chiefs team. But let me know what you guys think down below. Again, not to kind of rehash would you trade Khalil or not, but what teams do you think could be interested in Khalil Herbert? And if you want to sound off on if you think the Bears should be looking to move Khalil Herbert, or should they just be using Khalil Herbert more? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.